Welcome to our class to do with elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand. So a demand function is simply a mathematical expression that shows relationships between quantity of a good and the various factors that affect um, it. So there are a lot of factors that affect the demand for a particular good. What are some of the factors that we should know by our fingertips? Number one, the quantity is affected by the price of that particular commodity. That's what comes with on price elasticity. So this is quantity X, this is price of X. This makes what we call on price elasticity. The other factors that affect elasticity is price of a related good. So price of a related good, this is cross price elasticity. So this is good X and good Y. We also have income is another factor that affects elasticity. The higher the income, the more you are going to demand of a particular good. Income. The other factors that affect elasticity is what? Advertising expenditure. So these are important elements that you should know that affect demand. Other determinants of demand are um, weather, population. Um, we also have factors to do with um, preference and taste. So these are determinants of what demand. So when we're dealing with on-price elasticity, this is the most important factor which inversely affects the demand of a related good. So goods are known to be inversely related. So demand has an inverse relationship because PD is equal to what? A minus PQ. The slope is always negative because it's showing the inverse relationship that exists between price and quantity. This means, according to the law of demand, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. So if the price goes up from P1 to P2, it means the quantity demanded will go down from Q1 to Q2. So this is what makes elasticity of demand always negative. Now, elasticity of demand has a lot of parameters to understand. So if you're going to use a number line, of course, we're looking at the negative side only because of what I've just explained to you. We have 0, -1, and -2. So between -1 and -2, this area here has figures that are starting with 0 point something. So here demand is inelastic, insensitive. If it's exactly 1, it is unit elastic. So a 1% increase in price will result in a 1% decrease in quantity demanded. Then here we have elastic, meaning it's sensitive. All right. So if we have figures that are more than 1, they are elastic. To be elastic is to be sensitive. All right. So between the figures A, B, C, and D, we have -1.1, -0.1, -1, and positive 1.7. So A is showing us that it is what? Elastic because it's more than 1. B is showing us it is inelastic because starting with a 0 point something, it's in between this range. C is unit elastic because it's exactly at 1. And D cannot be elasticity of demand because it's a positive. Right, so to understand these elasticities, we have, I repeat, what we call on-price elasticity of demand. What is on-price elasticity of demand? This is a demand that measures the quantity demanded with response to a change in its own price. So it's given by elasticity dq over dpx times the price of x over price of the quantity. So you can use a shortcut which is given by b, which is a gradient, times price of good x over price over the quantity of good x. So if your quantity, the demand function is given by 10 minus 2p. So elasticity of demand is given by B, which is a gradient, and the price of that product and the quantity. So in this case, if our price, for instance, was a 3/4, so if we put a 3/4 here, it will be 10 minus 2 times 3, which is 6. So it will be 10 minus 6. What is our quantity? Our quantity, therefore, will be calculated as 4. Then what is our B? The B is the slope, the number that comes before the letter. So our B is what? -2. So if we're going to substitute this in here, we're going to say -2, where there's B, and the price was given as 3, and the quantity we've calculated it as what? 4. So -2 times 3 is -6. 1 times 4 is 4. So 4 into that one, we're going to have -1.2. Can somebody help me? What is your comment on that? -1.2, -1.5. What is that? Is it elastic, inelastic, or unit elastic? It is elastic because it's more than 1. It is elastic because it is more than 1. All right. So that is what we mean by on-price elasticity. There's also another type of elasticity which we call income price elasticity. It is a jealous kind of elasticity. This is elasticity that is mainly concerned about other goods and prices. So it is a percentage change of how quantity demanded for one good responds to for another good. So we have different types of goods. We have what we call substitute goods. These are goods that have the same purpose, like Pepsi and Coke. Their elasticity is a positive answer. If we have complement goods, like car and fuel, they have a negative elasticity, right? So you are able to tell uh, whether these goods are complementing each other or they are substituting each other. So this is good X minus what? 2px, then plus what? 3py. So you can see good X and good Y have different signs. So this is a negative and this is a positive. So it can tell you that these are competing goods. They have they're substitute goods. If there was negative here and negative here, they're complementing each other. All right. So in this case, if our price, we say the price of good X was what? 3/4, and the price of good Y was what? You can say price of good Y maybe is what? 5/4. So let's calculate first the quantity of X. So here we're going to have 10. When you put a 3 there, you got 6. When you put a 5 there, it'd be 3 by 5, which is 15. So 10 minus 6 is 4. 4 plus 15 is what? 19. So that is a quantity of good X. So what is the elasticity of good X? Price elasticity of good X. It is a slope times actual price of good X over quantity of good X. So what was the slope for good X is -2. So the B for good X is what? -2. What is the slope for good Y? The B for good Y. The letter that comes before good Y is what? 3. Positive 3. So elasticity of demand we already calculated for good X. But you change here because of the change in Q. We have -2 times the actual price of good X is what? 3 over the quantity, which is 19. So 3 times 2, which is 6. 6 divided by 19 is what? -0.61. So this now becomes inelastic because starting with a 0. Then elasticity of demand from good X to good Y. So the same formula is the slope for good Y times the price for good Y over the quantity over our total for good X. So what is the gradient for good Y? It is +3. The actual price for good Y was 5. and over the overall quantity. So 3 times 5 is 15. So 15 divided by 19, we get positive 0.79. So what did we say? If it's a positive answer, what kind of a good is this? It is called a substitute good. So positive elasticity simply means that your elasticity is positive. All right. If our answer was negative, for instance, if there was negative there automatically, we would have put -3 here. They have given us what? Um, we would have put a -3 here. We would have given us a negative answer. Would have been able to tell that this is a complementary code. Are we together so far? Are we following? Then we go to the other type of elasticity, which we call income elasticity. E means what? Income elasticity. So it's the QM over actual income over quantity of X. Or you can simply use the same formula, a gradient for what? For income, which is BM, times the actual income over the overall quantity. So if, for instance, the same question we're dealing with as what? 10 minus what? 2px plus what? 3py plus what? 5m. Calculate the income elasticity, where price of good X is 3 kwacha, price of good Y is 5 kwacha, and income is 10. So to find the quantity, we first substitute everything in there. So this will be 10 minus 6 times 3, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 3 times 5 is 15, plus 10 times 5 is what? 50. So here it is 65 plus 4, 69. So this is the overall what? Quantity of X. So now we substitute in here. What is the gradient for the income? It's positive what? 5. Put the 5 there. The actual income is what? 10. And the overall quantity is 69. So 5 times 10 is 50. 50 over 69, we're getting 0.72. So elasticity of income is positive 0.72. Now, the implication here is simply also understanding if it's a positive, it's a normal good. If it's a negative, it's an inferior good. Of course, if it's a positive and it's above 1, it's a luxurious good. But it's below 1, between 0 and 1, it's a necessity. So luxurious goods are goods which we demand faster, more when our income goes up. For instance, you demand more above your normal consumption. So you are going to buy more of aircon, more of luxurious goods. Okay. So this is how we calculate elasticity at those different levels. Chipo, are we following?
Mr. Collins, sorry.
Yeah.
Hear me.
Yes, yes.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm following the other formula, the one which was printed and compared to the one which you've just written there.
This one is simpler because the Q over the M, when you differentiate that, all these are constants of the zeros, you're going to remain with a constant 5. So what I simply mean, if you are going to look at this here, the B, the slope for good Y is -2. Just pick the numbers there. The slope for good X is -2. The slope for good Y is +3. The slope for income is what? +5. That's why I'm putting the BM here. It simply means the Q over the M. When you differentiate that, you're still going to remain with what? A 5. That's the simplest way you could remember that derivative.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So now let's look at this question now here. So suppose we're given the demand function 1200 minus 3px plus 4py, 1m, and 2a, where we are told that px is 10 kwacha, py is 4 kwacha, m is 20,000, and advertising is 250. So determine the price elasticity of demand, state whether it's elastic, inelastic, or unitary. Cross price elasticity, state whether it's complement or substitute. Income, whether it's normal or inferior. Advertising elasticity, and derive the equation. So here we've been given these parameters. The first thing is you substitute these figures that have been given, remember? So when you put them here, so where there's 3, you put 20, 15, and 10,000. So our annual demand is 11,000. So now the Q, the X, PX, meaning we're looking at the gradient for good X -3. Just getting this here, but the rest are constant. The Q over the PY, that is 4. That's the gradient for good Y. Just getting that's 4. Okay, the Q over the income is 1, that's the one there. The Q over the A, we're just doing to show the working, but these are the gradients I was talking about. So on price elasticity is the QPX times price over quantity. So what's the gradient for good X? -3. What was the actual price for good X? 20 over the overall total there. So when you calculate it, we're going to get negative 0.0053. What is our comment? Demand is inelastic because it's what? Less than 1. It is inelastic. Okay, not this elastic. It is inelastic. Anything starting with 0. We go to cross price elasticity. The gradient for good Y was 4. The actual price for good Y is 15 over quantity, which is that. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to get positive 0.0053. So since this is what? A positive, it is substitute good. And we go to income as well. You calculate, we're getting positive what? 0.88. So this is a positive answer. So it is considered to be a normal good, not inferior here. It is a normal good. What type of a normal good is this? It is it's a normal good. Okay, it's a basic need. If we had 1.8, it would be a luxurious good. Are we together? Then advertising elasticity, the gradient for advertising, actual advertising in that, we're going to get what? 0.03. So it means, see, demand is what? Inelastic. Okay, it's very insensitive and it goes above that. So basically, that's what you're being tested to calculate here. Have we followed? Have we followed?
Yes.
Right. So this is where we end, and this will be our homework for tonight. I'll need my solutions before midnight. Just this very question we've done. I will send the question on the group.